Diane here, and welcome to my new episode of People I Know, Like, and Trust. I am honored and overjoyed that I have with me today Lillie Leonardi, one of just a very special lady that is so inspirational and has so many wonderful ideas, involved in so many amazing projects. And I just wanted her to come on the show and talk about what she's doing. She is an author of amazing books. She has a podcast called Are You Into It? She has a business where she is the founder of Passages Prose, where she helps authors launch their books. And what we're going to talk about mostly today is Books Bridge Hope, where she is the founder of a nonprofit organization. And I really want her to share the vision of that project with you. So welcome, Lillie. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Diane, and ditto on all the nice compliments. I feel the same about you. I feel like the good Lord connected us, and it's brought about good things for both of us, I think. So thank you for this chance to just talk and share.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited. So I have been blessed to be on your board with amazing people and the projects that you're working on. So why don't you share with us like what Books Bridge Hope is, how the idea came about, and what your goals and vision are.
Well, thank you again. And yes, we have a stellar group of board members, and they're all women at this point. And I think each one of them brings to the table an unbelievable, I guess, history of their own, their own good deeds and their own professions. Each one is very successful in their own right. And together we're a force, pulling this I guess it's a nonprofit corp is what we should talk about. Organization, not a corporation, but an organization. And it was founded in 2017 on the premise of all the work we had done before with Passages Prose, that initially when I founded it, it focused just on events, like literary events. Because once I became a traditional published author, everybody thinks you know everything about, and I always say it had nothing to do with it. That was the wink of God, that happened, because it was all about his story, and we can talk about that another time. But the principle of it was that we had this advisory board that put on these events and everything, and one author after another came like kind of humbly forward, almost like they weren't good enough or whatever, because they were independent. And what I found is there were so many wonderful authors that weren't given chances. And again, I felt like my traditional publishing was a gift from God, but at the same time, I made so many mistakes with it that I thought that if I don't learn from those mistakes and pass on that wisdom. So basically, Books Bridge Hope came as kind of a subsidiary of the for-profit business. When my former profession was law enforcement, and I was a 9/11 responder. And as a result, like a lot of the responders, suffered with a PTSD and some ancillary health issues. Well, in the initial months and years of going through therapy, the psychologist recommended that I journal every day, a couple pages, that I learn to meditate, and I read 3 pages from a book that wasn't self-help, that wasn't religious, but allowed me to go somewhere and just dream, kind of take my thoughts somewhere else.
That's awesome.
So after I retired, I did a couple nights of volunteer, like for the homeless community out in the, with an organization that was providing once or twice a week, like food and warm clothing and everything. And while I was out there, having been a trained investigator, I started asking my own questions of, the individuals, and learned that most of them were veterans,
Wow,
that
really?
like myself had traumatic, not only mental, but some physical, wounds and things.
Mm.
And that I asked about what was the worst part other than being, homeless, which they reminded me some of them were there by choice because of dramatic family issues or just a multitude of reasons, but that they found like at night there was nothing to do and they couldn't sleep. There were no books, there were no writing supplies or whatever. So I went back to my then advisory board and asked, what do you think about let's put together like pop-up libraries and take them to the shelters? And then reached out to an acquaintance, Dr. Jim Withers, who is he developed Operation Safety Net, which is like the provides medical services and mental health services and also housing for the unsheltered. And they have this wonderful program that he developed here in Pittsburgh and then helped other communities and countries like develop their own form of street medicine. We went to them and then worked with their administrators and one of our mental health advisory to make sure we were doing something that would be reasonable for and not coming in and creating something that would be intrusive or offensive to some. Well, in the course of it, we found that, every situation or every set of circumstances required relationship building, but we did. It was almost instantaneous with the books. So we would take books, writing supplies, some toiletries, socks, and even some like non-perishable food and items like that they could pack in their bed that our community members could put in their backpacks. But on holidays, we brought like baked goods too.
Yum. So good.
And sometimes like during the high holidays like Christmas and Passover, we would bring like greeting cards for them to be able to use and send to their loved ones, because we worked off the premise that if I was a family member or a mom or a parent that had one of our children out somewhere and you didn't even know where they were, there'd be no greater gift than to get a card from them
Wow. That's
telling them
sweet.
that they were alive and, maybe not well, but they would be able to like put them as like a locator in their mind of where their loved one was. So COVID then hit and we tried to deliver things, but shelters were closed. CDC had a lot of rules about what could or couldn't be brought in, and reasonably so for health reasons. And so we had to pivot. And one of our board members, with Books Bridge Hope, came up with the idea of why not putting everything into a small box and delivering it. So of course, all our brains went to work. We created a label. And then I reached out to a former acquaintance in law enforcement, Scott, who's chief of police at the city, Scott Schubert, chief of police at the city of Pittsburgh. And we collaborated with him and the Pittsburgh police when I worked for the FBI. And Scott has a tremendous relationship about his community involvement, also his officers, and they have a community engagement squad. So I reached out to him to see if we could do a pilot piece with using their squad of 25, their community engagement and community resource officers, to see if we could put those things, the items in boxes, label it with like a little ditty from them and from Books Bridge Hope.
Mhm.
And if the officers could pass them out when they came across an unsheltered, individual. And that's what happened. And Sergeant Tiffany Klein Costa was directed by Chief Schubert to go ahead and move forward with it. So one of our committee volunteers, Dana Folletti, put the first group together with a group of students from the Christian Academy where her children go. They put 50 boxes together through donations they received. The young girls, they boxed everything. We went and labeled everything and packed them into the Pittsburgh police. The Pittsburgh police took 50 boxes, and 25 extra went to the Light of Life mission, where Dana volunteers and does some work. So we were told just last week or the week before that the boxes are going well and being distributed. So we're hopeful with the board and some volunteers to do a big drive in the fall, so that we can be ready for the winter months of having boxes ready to distribute. We're also hoping to be able to put some in the free stores in Braddock, and I believe Wilkinsburg has a free store now. So we're waiting, the board members are diligently working to see where we can expand, and we're also looking for grants and donations right now too, to build a stronger program for the winter months.
Yeah, that is so awesome. It's just amazing, like how God works with just like one thing leads to another, and just like the beautiful, like, I don't know, like a ribbon or something of your connections from being in law enforcement, and, having that tremendous respect that you have earned, and, because you worked in the cities, and helped kids. And so people know you. And so then they already know, like, and trust you and want to participate in helping. And, all of the creativity with putting it together with the boxes. I think it's awesome. It's awesome. So it sounds like what would be helpful is anybody that wants to make any donations would be tremendous, even like donations in what sort, like what would be the most helpful for you?
Well, probably easiest for people would be monetary,
Yeah.
because then, when we do the big drive, it will allow for us to, um, to purchase what we need to fill those boxes. But also, if they want to do donations, like of supplies, writing supplies or books, because we've had a lot of help from Barnes and Noble, the Settlers Ridge. They do a lot of have provided a lot of books and magazines, but they can reach out to us through the company's website, because there's a link to Booksbridge Hope. So it would be passagesprose.com. And then you would see like a section where it says about, and you just link to Booksbridge Hope. If
Okay.
they would like to make a monetary, it's Booksbridge Hope, Post Office Box 414, Oakmont, PA 15139. So
Okay.
either way, they can reach out to us, through the website, where they can contact us and we can arrange to, or wait until we have the big drive in the fall. We're in the midst of trying to organize the location. We're going to call it kind of a box party, where we can create the boxes and people can have fun doing it. So we'll be able to deliver that info at a later date.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you have a Facebook page? Is that what you're talking about, where they
Yeah, we
can
have a
find you?
Facebook page too. It's Booksbridge Hope.
Okay.
And then also, like I said, on the website for the actual passages and prose, when you go into the menu, the about page, there's a page just about Booksbridge Hope and how people can donate and contact it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Because I'm thinking there could be, maybe some people that have groups, like groups with kids or something, that they may
Mhm.
want to make this,
Yeah.
something fun to do, because
Mhm.
there's so many kids that are very blessed, speaking of my own children, and just are clueless about just the whole unsheltered process,
Mhm.
and what that looks like. So for them and their friends to participate and do something, making a difference for others, I think there might be some people listening that would want to, collaborate and just be a part of what you're doing.
Well, I
And
think it's a great school project, because most seniors are required to have so many hours of community service. And
right.
like last winter, Riverview School District and Springdale School District, through one of our board members, Tara Jo Pomato Morasic, they coordinated like a stocking drive, and they collected like these beautiful stockings that there were 100, at least 150 all stuffed, and we
Mm.
couldn't take it to the shelter. So we distributed it what to the Center of Life. We gave half, and the Best of Batch Foundation got the others. So
Okay.
we were able, through those resources that Tara Joe provided with the youth, we and their families, we were able to enhance young people's holidays.
Mhm.
And so that's the beauty, like you talked about before. It's not one person. It's like a community within the community that
Mhm.
we're building, that connective, like a web, of resources.
Right.
We determined as a board that when we couldn't deliver to the shelter, that we were going to look, and both organizations came through our board member, one of our board members that had done work with both organizations. So, just like when we got magazines and books from Barnes and Noble, we got about 2,000 of them. There was no way without being able to distribute to the shelter. So we reached out, and there was 5 or 6 other organizations, most within the aging and the Jewish community, that could use, because their seniors were in lockdown. So
Yeah.
they would be able to disseminate, distribute. And so it's the beauty of all those connections. And like you're saying, God works in mysterious ways. And we were trained in law enforcement, when you couldn't go through the door, you went up, around, or underneath it. And that's been true of this process with, a long time ago, I read, and I always want to say Tom Collins, but it's not Tom Collins, but his book, Good to Great, his last name is Collins, and my senior mind is like, but he wrote Good to Great, and I read it 3 times. And he said the most wonderful principle, or the basic principle, is to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off. And I think with our board and our collaborators, we've surely gotten the right people on the bus. And I believe that too, like you're saying, is connection is a gift from God. I believe that he's blessed us because we're trying to do good deeds and do what we can to help the most underserved community, you
Yeah.
know, within our group. So I feel blessed with our board, our volunteers, and our community collaborators. I don't think we could ask for anything more than what we already have.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Lily. This is so good. And I'm hoping that this is inspirational for other people to hear. And it's just another example of so many guests that I have on the show. We're talking of, it's a lot of heart-centered things,
Mm,
and people that are working from their heart and are committed and want to
mhm.
make a difference. And Lily, you're certainly one of those people. And
Well, as are you, and thank you for being on the board, and thank you for this opportunity. And whatever you post, please feel free to post the website and different things.
absolutely.
All
Yeah, I'll
right.
definitely do that whenever. We'll put it at
Okay.
at the end of the show, how to reach you, how to get
Okay.
in touch with your group, how to make any kind of monetary deposits. Yeah, let's really make this happen so that you can have a huge kickoff in the fall and make a dramatic difference for people in our community. So
Yeah. Thank you,
thank
Diane.
you.
All
Thank
right. Have
you.
a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
God bless everybody. Take
You too.
care.
Bye-bye.